Dear students, welcome. Last class we have discussed about the DTD. We know that what is DTD? DTD is a document type definition which is used to define the structure and the legal elements. Also, the attributes of an XML file. That is the main purpose of DTD. So we can use DTD to validate the XML file. And in that we saw the basic syntax of a DTD. So also we have discussed about the DTD elements, and we know that the DTD elements defines all allowed contents of an element. That is the purpose of element in the DTD elements. And we have discussed about the types of DTD element rules. So the rule that deals with the content, like any rule, empty rule, PC data and C data we have discussed. And there is also another rule that deals with the structure of a XML file. So we have two rules. One is element only and mixed only. That's what we have seen. And also we have seen how to create the DTD file. We can create DTD file in two ways. One is we can have internal DTD and we can also have a external DTD. That's what we have discussed. Also we have seen an example how we can write the DTD to validate a XML file. So let me show an example. Before we proceed to the next topic on DTD element symbol. So let me show an example. I have used XML copy editor. Okay, XML copy editor. And if you look at this, this is actually a XML file. I have address element, name, company, phone number, and the element ends here. This is a parent element, root element. Okay. And if you want to validate this XML file, we need to have a DTD or some other validation process like a schema. So I will show the DTD file. Okay, I will show the DTD file, and this is actually a DTD file. And the syntax we have seen how the DTD for an element can be defined. We have seen in the last class. So element is a keyword. Address is a root element in the XML file. Address is a root element. If you look at here, the XML file, address is a root element, and followed by the sequence of children, name, company, phone number, and the type of data the element can take, or the allowable data the elements like a name, company, and phone number can take. All these three elements will take a PC data. And we saw that what is a PC data. PC data is a parsed character data, which means the data is parsed by the parser. Okay, so last class I told about what is a parser. So parser is a software library or a package that provides interface for a client application to work with the XML document. That is actually the parser. So it's a software library, so that provides interface for a client application to work with the XML document. So this is actually a DTD, and if you look at here, address.dtd is a separate file. I am going to refer this external DTD file in the XML file. Okay, this is actually the content of XML file. And if you look at this line, doc type is a keyword, address, and we saw there are two keywords. One is a system, which means where the DTD is found. Okay, so that the path is given here. The DTD, the name of the DTD file is here. This is a complete path of this DTD file. Okay, where the DTD is located can be found with the help of the keyword system. So instead of system, we can also have a public. Okay, public the DTD can be referenced in the public domain or specialized place. So that is the two keywords that we can use in the doc type. So if you want validate this XML file with this DTD, you can do that. So how we can so first we need to create the XML file. Okay, we know that the XML file should begin with like this: question mark XML, then version, encoding, standalone. Okay, so we have seen the purpose of all these keywords: version, encoding, standalone. So first we need to create this XML file, then we need to create a separate DTD file. So next what we have to do, if you are using a XML copy editor, okay, XML copy editor, you go to XML menu and click on associate. Okay, click on associate, where you will find an option to refer that external DTD file. So since this DTD is going to be in my system, I have to choose the system. Okay, just click on that system, then browse the DTD file. Okay, so the DTD file is here. Okay, browse that and click open, then it is referenced here. So you will get line like this. So once it is over, you can validate, you can check well formedness of this XML file. So for that you need to click on this check well formedness of this XML file, and if you see here at the bottom, it is a well formed, the XML file is a well formed. And you can also validate, already I have referenced the external DTD file here. So how we can refer the external DTD? Go to XML menu, look for associate and click on system. Okay, click on system, locate that file, locate that DTD file. Okay, locate that DTD file, open, then it is referenced here, and we will see the rest later. Okay, we also have a schema. We will be studying about a XSLT style sheet we will study. Okay, so this is how we can refer the external DTD in the XML file. So you just click on XML, go to associate, search for system. Okay, system, just click on the system DTD, browse that external DTD file, then open. Okay, so once it is over, you can validate this XML file. To validate this XML file, here you have an option. Okay, just click on this validate, and you will find here it is a valid. So the XML file is validated against this DTD file. This is what we have seen. So this is a external DTD. Okay, this is external DTD. If you want to use internal, here you need to give that DTD definition. Okay, DTD definition here itself we can give. Okay, so that's what we have seen. So DTD syntax we have seen last class. We have seen the DTD syntax, DTD elements we have seen, the types of DTD element rules we have seen. Okay, element rules we have seen, and today we are going to discuss about, last class I said that we will see some of the symbols that are used in the DTD elements. Okay, DTD elements, what are those symbols that we can use in the DTD elements? So we can use plus symbol, asterisk, question mark and a comma we can use in the DTD element. And we also going to see the DTD attributes. Okay, so what is attribute? Attribute gives more information about an element, or more precisely it defines a property of an element. So attribute gives more information about an element. So when you define an attribute in DTD, it is declared with the keyword at least. Okay, so at least is a keyword that is used to declare DTD attribute. Okay, in the DTD file you need to use a at least keyword just to declare the attribute. So also we will see the attribute types, DTD attribute types, and the possible values we will see. So today we are going to discuss about the DTD element symbol, DTD attributes, then attribute types, okay, DTD attribute types, and the possible value that we can give for a DTD attribute we will discuss. So we will move on to that. So as I told you in the last class, what are the symbols we can use? Okay, what are the symbols we can use in the DTD elements? So I'll move on to the DTD element symbol. So all this we have discussed in the previous class. Okay, so we will see this. Okay, we will see this. Okay, I'll take some pointer. Okay, so the first symbol that we can use in the element is we can use plus. Okay, so what it means? So this is syntax. We have seen syntax. When you give element in the DTD, it should begin with the keyword element, then element name followed by the children element. And if you look at here, I have a plus symbol. Okay, what it tells? What it tells to the parser? It indicates that the child element can occur one or more times inside the parent element. Okay, so if there is a plus symbol after the child element, what it tells? It indicates child element. Okay, this child element can occur one or more time inside the parent element. If you see here an example, element is a keyword and this is root element, and I have a child element name plus, which means in this root address, so the child element, the name can occur one or more times inside the element address. So you can have the name element once or more time in this address root element. That is the purpose of the plus symbol in the DTD element. And the next symbol is a asterisk. Okay, so what it tells the parser? So the syntax, you can this is a keyword element, then root element name, then child element children. Okay, so here I have the symbol asterisk symbol. It indicates that the child elements can occur 0 or more times inside the parent element. Okay, so when you have an asterisk, it indicates that the child element, okay, the child element can occur 0 or more times. If it is plus 1 or more time, okay, if it is plus 1 or more time, if it is asterisk 0 or more time. So and if you see the example here, element is a keyword, address is the root element. This name can occur 0 or more times inside the element, the parent element address. So that is a asterisk. If it is plus, it can occur 1 or more time. If it is asterisk, 0 or more time. Then we can also have a question mark. Okay, the operator question mark we can have in the element name. So the syntax is element, root element name, then child followed by question mark. What it tells? It indicates that the child element can occur 0 or 1 time. Okay, 0 or 1 time. Okay, 0 or 1 it can occur. If it is a asterisk, can occur 0 or more time. If it is question, 0 or once. So if you see the example here, element, address is root element. So inside that the name is a child element. The child element name can occur in the XML file 0 or 1 time inside the element name address. Okay, that is a question mark operator. And we can also have the comma. Okay, comma operator. Okay, comma. So this comma operator, what is the syntax? Element name, root element. So child 1, comma, then child 2. If you want to have more child, comma. So it gives sequence of child elements separated by comma, which must be included in the element name. And if you see here, you have the root element, address, and the child element. The sequence are here: name, comma, company, comma, place, comma, like that you can have. So that means sequence of child elements: name, company, which must occur in the same order inside the element, the address. So when this address element, root element, or with the name, company, it should follow the same order. Okay, how it is declared in the element. So these are the 4 symbols that we can use in the DTD elements. Okay, so you can have plus, and you can have a asterisk symbol you can have, and what you can have? You can have a question mark, you can have the comma. Okay, so what this plus indicates? So the child element can occur. Plus indicates the child element can occur 1 or more times inside the parent element, and asterisk that indicates the child element can occur 0 or more times. Okay, 0 or more times. Question mark can occur, the element can occur 0 or 1 time. Comma, it should follow the sequence. Okay, comma is a sequence of child. Okay, sequence of child. So we can have these 4 symbols in the element. Okay, we can have these 4 symbols in the DTD elements. So these are the 4 symbols that we can have. Right. And one more symbol is here. One more symbol, that is the pipe symbol. Okay, along with these 4, we can also have the pipe symbol. So what it indicates? The pipe symbol, so allows making choices in the child element, which means, so if you look at this, address is a root element, name or company, it allows you to choose either of child element. Either you can have a name or a company, that is name or company, which must occur inside the element. So it should have, the address element should have either name or a company should be there. So that is another operator. So there are 5 operators. So in the previous we have seen 4 and plus 1, that is a choice. Okay, so what are those 5? One is plus, okay, then asterisk, then we have what is it, question mark, then comma, then we have the pipe symbol. Okay, pipe symbol, and the purpose we have discussed. Okay, so this is 1 or more time, this is a 0 or more time, and this is question mark is a 0 or 1 time. This is 0 or more time, asterisk is 0 or more time, and this is a 0 or 1 time. It's a sequence, this is choice. Okay, this is choice. So we have 5 symbols. Then let us say some examples. Okay, so if you look at this XML file, so if you look at this DTD file, not XML file, this is a DTD file. Okay, this is a DTD file. So if you look at this DTD file, okay, so you have element. Okay, element you have, what is this? Is actually is a root element. Inside that you have the child element. Okay, child element. The child element can again have a sequence of elements. And if you look at this element, there are no symbols are used here. Okay, there are no symbols. So this is an example without a symbol. So all this name, age, gender, address, city, state, zip, and you have the child. Okay, you have children. You have children. Again, the children is going to have a child. Okay, child like this. Child name, child age, child gender. So this is a DTD without symbol. Okay, without symbol. So we can also have the DTD with the symbols like a plus, asterisk, question mark, comma, and a pipe symbol. Okay, we can have. You will see that this is the same, the same DTD with the symbol. Okay, with the symbols. Okay. Now you look at this contact list. So contact plus what indicates? The children. Okay, this actually is the children of a contact list. Okay, so plus indicates that the child element can occur 1 or more time inside the parent element. Okay, the child element can occur one or more time in the parent element. This is actually this contact list is a parent element. So if you see the child element, contact can have again child elements like this: contact, name, age, I have question mark, gender, address, city, state, zip code, children. And if you notice here, there is a question mark. Okay, so what is that question mark indicates? Question mark in the element, DTD element, indicates that the question mark indicates that the element can occur 0 or 1 time. It can occur one time, or it may not have. Okay, it may not occur 0 or 1 time. That is the symbol indicates. So the name is here: age, gender, address, city, state, zip, and children. Again, look at this: children. The last element can have a children. The child element, here you have another symbol. What is a asterisk symbol? So the asterisk symbol indicates that the child element, okay, the child element and these elements and the children of this child element can occur 0 or more times. Okay, it can occur 0 or more times. That is actually this asterisk symbol indicates. So again, here you have a child name, child age, and child gender. So this is optional. So it can occur 0 or 1 time. Okay, if it is it can occur, if it is question mark, it can occur once or 0. Okay, 0 or once. And if you see the XML, okay, so this is actually a DTD file. DTD file. If you look at this is another example. Okay, so if you look at this DTD element with the symbol plus, we have plus means the child element. Okay, the child element of this contact element can occur 1 or more time. Okay, and I have a question mark symbol. The child element can occur 0 or 1 time. Okay, if it is asterisk, 0 or more time. That is the difference. Okay, so we'll take one more example with the symbol, the DTD element with the symbol. Okay, so assume that the DTD file. Okay, it's DTD file. So we have the plus symbol. So plus symbol indicates that the child can occur 1 or more time inside the parent. Okay, so it can occur, the child element can occur, the child element, these are all child of this employee, can occur 1 or more time inside this parent. Okay, inside this parent element. And you have, okay, also you have a question mark inside that question mark. What it indicates? It indicates that the child element can occur 0 or 1 time. Okay, 0 or 1 time. So here you have name, okay, position, age, gender, all the valid data. Okay, the data, allowable data for this elements are defined here. PC data. This is address 2, and if you look at here, address 2 is a question mark. Okay, it's question mark. What is that? It can occur 0 time or 1 time. It cannot occur more than once. Okay, so it can occur, it may come or it may not come. Okay, then again the phone number. Okay, the phone number and the email is with the symbol question mark. Again, it can occur, this email and phone element can occur, that is a question mark. Okay, with the question mark, so it can occur 0 or 1 time. Okay, so this is a DTD. Okay, document type definition, DTD with the symbol, DTD element with the symbol. And if I refer this in a XML file, okay, so look at this is XML file. The file is referenced here. Okay, system is a keyword that finds where the DTD file is located, and the complete path has to be given. And employee is a root element. Okay, if you see here, employee here, employee is a root element. And this is child. Okay, so here employee. Okay, employee, name, position, age, gender, race, marital status, address 1. And if you see here, name, position, age, gender, race, marital status, address 1. Okay, there are no symbols, so it cannot. Then I have a question mark in the element address 2. Okay, question mark in the element, question mark in the address 2. So here if you see here, there is no address 2 element. Why? The element with the question mark. So question mark means it indicates that the element can occur 0 or 1 time. So if it is appeared, it should be appeared at least once. Okay, so even if it is not present, then no problem. The reason is question mark is there. Okay, then you can have city, state, zip, and even though it is optional, so it is mentioned here. So if you look at the element definition, question mark, email, question mark, even if it is optional, so question mark, it can occur 0 or 1 time. One time it can occur. So this is how we can use elements with the DTD elements with the symbols. And if you look at here, another employee. So address 2. Okay, address 2. It is here. So it can appear, but when it is used, it can appear at least once. It can appear once or zeros. Okay, why? There is a question mark. Okay, question mark. So I have used address 2 also. So it is optional. If you want to, you can use, or you can avoid this. Why? It is question mark. Email is question mark. Phone number is question mark. If you see here, email and phone is with the question mark. Okay. So and if you look at the next example. Okay. So here again is another employee detail. So here email is skipped. Okay. Why? The reason is question mark is there. So the child element can occur 0 or once. Okay. So if it is used, it should be used at least. It should be used only once, not more than once. Question mark is there. Okay. So this is how we can use the symbols in the DTD elements. So what are the symbols? Plus, asterisk, question mark, comma, and pipe symbol. Okay. So next we will discuss about DTD attributes. Okay. So as I told you, attribute gives more information about an element, or more precisely it defines a property of an element. So attribute is used to give more information about the element. That is an attribute. An XML attribute is always in the form of a name value pair. So when you give attribute, the attribute is always with the attribute name and the value for the attribute. So the pair is the name and value. An element can have any number of a unique attribute. Okay, an element can have any number of a unique attribute. XML element can have any number of a unique attributes. So just look at this. This is a HTML representation. We are all aware of this representation. And I have a tag. This is attribute. SRC is an attribute. Width is an attribute. Height is an attribute. And if you look at this attribute is always with the name and value. Okay, so this is name and this is value for the attribute. Okay, this is name and this is value. So this is actually a HTML representation. So SRC, width and height are attribute of this element. They are all attributes of this elements. So when you represent the same HTML representation with help of XML, so it could be like this. So image is an element. SRC, okay, SRC is attribute. Width is attribute. Height is an attribute. And this is a value, not a attribute value, element value. Okay, so attribute value is here. Okay, attribute value is here. So 10, 20 is attribute values. So attribute gives more information about an element. Okay, that is an attribute. So attribute definition are declared using the at least declaration. So when you give attribute for the element, it is declared using this keyword, at least keyword. So an at least declaration will define one or more attributes or elements that is referencing. So what is a at least? This at least declaration will define one or more attributes for an element that is a referencing. So what is the syntax to define an attribute in the element? Attributes in the element. So at least is a keyword used to define, used to declare the attribute of an element. Okay, at least is a keyword. Then element name, then attribute of this element. Okay, attribute of this element, then attribute type, then attribute value. Okay, so these are the four parts. Okay, one is attribute element, then one is element name, second is a attribute name, then third one is a attribute type and a attribute value. So every attribute declaration will be like this. Okay, it should begin with at least, element name, attribute name, type and value. Okay, so what is this syntax says? The DTD attribute starts with the at least keyword. So at least is a keyword if the element contains attribute. So if you want to have attributes in the element declaration should have a at least keyword. Then element name specifies the name of the element to which the attribute applies. That is the element name. Attribute name specifies the name of the attribute which is included with the element name. Then attribute type defines the type of attribute. Okay, defines the type of attribute. We will discuss what are the types, and we will discuss what are the types of attributes available. We will see that. Then attribute value. Okay, the possible value the attribute will take. Okay, it takes a fixed value that attribute must define. We will also discuss what are the possible values that we can give it for attributes. So this is actually a syntax. So if you look at the syntax, so at least is a keyword, element name, then attribute name, then attribute type and attribute value. Okay, so just look at this at least declaration, an example. So this is keyword and this is a element name. Okay, element name is attribute name, and this is a type and this is value. Okay, so this is one element name and this is two attribute name and this is three. What is three? The type, then the value. So we can have four type of possible values: required, implied and not required, implied and fixed is there. Okay, fixed. I'll tell you what are the possible values for the attributes. So if you look at this XML representation, okay, name is an element, sex is attribute, age is attribute, race is attribute. Okay, so this is actually the XML representation. So when you represent with the help of a DTD, okay, DTD, how it should look like. Okay, so before we move on to that example, this is actually a represented in XML like this. Okay, this is a declaration, attribute declaration, and when it is defined, when it is given represented in the XML file, it will be like this. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, so it is represented in XML like this. So name is here, sex is here, the value is C data is a character data. Okay, age again is a character data, and race is here, and this is a value of the element name. Okay, the element name, right? So the types of attribute. Okay, what are the types? If you look at this, here you have a C data. What are the other types? Other types that we can use it for an attribute. So C data is one type. Entities, ID, and ID references, NM tokens, notation, enumerated. These are all the attribute types. Okay, what is C data? C data is a character data only. The attribute will contain no marker. Okay, so for example, at least box is an element name. This is attribute. This is a type, and this is a default value, okay, value. So entity is the name of an unparsed general entity that is declared in the entity but refers to some external data. Okay, so for example, the name of a unparsed general entity. Okay, so at least this is element, attribute, entity. Okay, this is an unparsed general entity that is declared in the DTD but refers to the some external data. Okay, so it refers to some external data. Entities similar to entity. Okay, entities are similar to entity. Okay, same as entity type but represents multiple value. Okay, so multiple values for this SRC. Okay, then ID. Okay, ID is a unique name. Okay, it's a unique name for the element. Okay, identifies the element, uniquely identifies the element. That is actually is a ID. Okay, ID. So the value for this type of attribute must be unique within the XML document. Each element may only have a single ID attribute. So we can have only single element ID attribute, and the value of ID attribute must be valid XML name. Okay, valid XML name. The ID that you can set for an element should be valid XML name, meaning that it may not start with a numeric digit. So if you see here, serial is a ID. Okay, is ID. So when you give value for this, okay, when you give value for this attribute, that should follow this rule. Okay, you should not start with a numeric digit. Okay, then ID reference. Okay, ID reference. This is a value of an ID attribute of another element in the document. It is used to establish a relationship with other tags when there is not necessary a parent-child relationship. So like this, you can create ID references. Okay, so this is a value of an ID of another element, just to establish relationship with another element. ID references same as ID ref. However, it represents multiple values listed in the sequential order. Just it's similar to ID reference. It references the other. It establishes the relationship with another ID. Then NM token. So NM token restricts the value of attributes to a valid XML name. Okay, to a valid XML name. So look at this NM token. So it is a value. In the country, and the country is an attribute. So you can take the constant value. Okay, so take the constant value USA, and you can also have enumerated values like this. Okay, you can also have it represents NM tokens represents the multiple values listed in the sequential order separated by white space like this. Okay, so NM tokens, that is also possible. Notation. This is a type refers to the name of a notation declared in the DTD. It is used to identify format of a non-XML data. An example would be the notation type to refer to an external application that will interact with the document. So like this. Okay, so it is a reference to an external document. So this type refers to the name of the notation declared in the DTD. Then enumerated. Okay, this type is not an actual keyword the way the other types are used. It is actually listing possible values for the attribute separated by pipe symbol. Okay, pipe symbol like this. College, grade, 0 or 1. Okay, this is the default one. Default value is 1. So like this, you can also have a enumerated value, the possible values for this attribute grade. Okay, for this attribute grade, and the values. Okay, so far part we have seen the types. Okay, types, attribute type, C data, entity, entities, ID references, ID, NM tokens, notations, enumerated, and the values. Okay, so how the values how the attribute will behave. Okay, so there are 4 types of values you can give. Okay, required, implied, fixed, and default. Okay, so required means that indicates that the value of the attribute must be specified. So if you see here example, season is an element, year is an attribute, see data is a type of this attribute, required, which means it is must. So when you give the element, when you use the element season, and when you specify the attribute year, the value is required. Implied means it is optional. The value for the attribute is optional. That is a implied. Okay, that is a implied. The value for the attribute is a optional. That is a implied. So look at this. Field is element. Size is attribute. It is the value is implied. That means the value for this attribute is a optional. When it is given, it should take this type of data. Fixed indicates that the attribute is optional, but if it is present, it must have a specified set of value that cannot be changed. So it indicates that the attribute is optional, but when it is present, when the value is given, that should not be, the value should not be changed. That is fixed. Okay, fixed. So look at the exact example. BCC is a element, hidden is attribute, the value is fixed. Okay, default value, it is true. Okay, when it is given, it is the value cannot be changed. True cannot be changed. Okay, then default, this is not an actual default behavior type. The value of a default is supplied in the DTD. So here like this, default value. So the default value for this attribute number is a 0. So like this we can have the 4 possible values that we can set for a attribute. Okay, attribute, DTD attribute. We will take one simple example. Okay, we will take one a simple example. If you see here, this is actually a DTD. Okay, what DTD is? This is internal. Okay, internal DTD. Why it is internal? DTD is present in the XML file. Okay, it is a internal. Okay, it is internal. So DTD is present here in the XML file. So type address element, address name. Okay, address is root element and this is child element. And if you see here the name, okay, name can have attribute. When you set value for this attribute, the default value is 0. Okay, if the ID is omitted, okay, if the ID is omitted in the XML file, it takes the default value. That is why it is a default. Okay, default value. Then if it is fixed means, okay, if it is fixed, okay, so look at this again, the same example. Address is root element, company is a child element, and you know that what is the purpose of this star. So the element can occur, what is it? It is 0 or more times can occur. Okay, so company element, company is a child element, it can take this type of data, and the company can have an attribute. Okay, company can have an attribute like this. So the type is NM token. Okay, NM token is a fixed value. It's a value. Tokens, constant value you can give. That is a fixed. Okay, fixed. So when the value for the name is supplied in the XML file. Okay, this is actually a XML file. Okay, when the value for this attribute, okay, for this attribute is supplied, it should not be changed. Why? It is a fixed. Okay, so in this example we have used the keyword fixed, where it indicates that the value XML tutorial is only the value for the attribute name of the element company. Okay, so that is only the possible values that we can supply. Then required. Okay, required is a keyword to specify that the attribute ID must be provided for the element name and the name. Okay, so if you look at here, address, this is child element, name, okay, this is a type, then name, okay, this name can have an ID attribute, this name element can have ID attribute. When the ID is given, when the ID attribute used in the XML file, okay, so the value should be supplied. Okay, why? It is a required. Okay, it is a required. Then implied. Okay, implied is a optional. Okay, implied is a optional. So look at this. So name is attribute. Name is attribute. ID. Okay, name is attribute. ID. Sorry, name is an element. Okay, name is an element. ID is attribute. Okay, ID is attribute. The value is implied. That means it is optional. So if you look at here, there is an element. Okay, name element is here, but ID attribute is not there. Why? It is implied. It is an optional. Okay, so like that we can give the 4 possible values for the attributes in the DTD elements. Okay, so then in the next class we will see the DTD entities we will discuss. Okay, entity we will discuss. So today we have discussed about what is that DTD. What we have discussed. Yes, we'll see. Yeah. So we have discussed about the symbols. Okay, symbols that we can use it in the element. Okay, element. What are the symbols? So these are the plus, asterisk, question mark, comma, and pipe symbol we can use. So an example we have seen, and DTD attributes we have seen. Okay, syntax DTD attribute. So when you want to give attribute for element, you need to give at least a keyword. Okay, you need to give at least a keyword. Okay, so this is a simple example we have seen. Then attribute types we have seen. Attribute types. See data, entity, entities, IDs, ID reference, ID references, NM token, NM tokens, notations, and enumerated we have seen. And also the values. Okay, values for attribute we have seen, required, implied, fixed, and default we have seen, and for all these we have seen examples. Okay, so I will tell you how we can maybe I will show the XML copy editor. Okay, XML copy editor. Right, just look at this as a similar example. So this is actually a DTD. Okay, so root element is here, address is root element, name is child element, and it will have the value. Okay, PC data value, and this element can have an ID attribute, can have an attribute. So when you give ID attribute for this name element, you can have a default value. Okay, if the value is not given in the XML file, it will take the default value. So that is why it is a default. Okay, then we can have a fixed value. Okay, and if you see here, it is a valid. Okay, it is valid. Okay, it is valid. Then fixed. So this is root element. Okay, root element address is root element, and inside that you have a company. And in the company element, company element can have an attribute like a name, and the value is fixed. Okay, and the value is fixed. When the value is given for this attribute, for this element, and the name for this name attribute, this is fixed. Okay, this is fixed. So if you validate this, so it is valid. Suppose if you change this, okay, if you change this, so now what is here? It is fixed. That is a tutorial points. But here in the XML file, the name attribute carries the other value. It is not the value that is given here in the tutorial points. So if you try to validate this, okay, so you will get an error message. Okay, you will get an error message. So it is a fixed value. You cannot change that. Okay, you cannot change that. Okay, you cannot change that. Right. Now if you validate this, this is valid. Then implied. Okay, implied is optional. Okay, implied is optional. So, so if you look at this, name is an element, ID is attribute, so it is here. So even suppose if you omit this, just try this, it is valid. Okay, it's optional. Implied is optional. Then required. Okay, required means we must give when it is given, when the attribute is given, that should be specified. So when you validate this, it is a valid. Suppose if we remove this, just check this validity of this XML file. Okay, suppose if you don't have that, let me check. Okay, so this is an error. Yeah, why? It is a required attribute. ID is not there for the name element. Okay, and the reason is it is required. So like this you can give attributes for the elements. Okay, so with this I will stop. Just go through the PPT again. You go through the video lessons. If you have any doubt, you can chat me. Okay, thank you.